The interior that you're in can drastically change how you feel, how you work, the productivity that you have. Looking at it as just like a dollar point versus a holistic picture of how is this going to impact and benefit my brand at the end of the day, and looking at it as going towards your brand. It's a huge thing, right? When people walk in your front door and they see your spaceman and then they meet you. The whole point is for the space and for you to mesh so well that it's like, why? Of course, Minh would never have any other office because this is so him. And so that's your brand. And like that is going to add dollar value all on its own.
So if you are a dentist and you are looking to do a new build out, a new renovation, you have to stay tuned to this episode. Check it out right here as we have the greatest interior designer of all time that can build your office. Stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Dental Dummies. I am your main host, Dr. Minh Nguyen, over here, tooth mover, smile architect, and designer extraordinaire. And y'all know my co-host.
I'm the side host, Joe DiMarco. Not as important, just does financial stuff and doesn't have the intro 10-second hook that would get you all to tune in, which is why we have Minh.
There you go.
Right, Minh?
That's right. Trying to do it. So, Joe, what did we talk about on the last episode?
Honestly, we did back-to-back, so I really don't remember. I was trying to think about it, but it was a lot about, I think it was student loans and going through different like things with lending, and it was a lot of financial stuff. I know you were falling asleep, so it was definitely not exciting, which is why, we brought Allison on here to actually get people excited and to maybe up our viewers and stop being boring for at least an episode.
That's right. So I am very, very excited for today's guest. This is Allison Rasmus of Rasmus Interior Design. We've known each other actually before I even started my construction and my startup process. And I called like a fanboy knowing her work from her previous endeavors. And then I'm like, I saw her work and I'm like, who built this particular office? I had to hunt her down and through different other doctors and backdoor channels. And I finally got her phone number. Called her out of the blue, and I still remember this conversation like to this day.
I do too.
And I'm like, "Hey, you're the person, right? Like you did this one office," and you're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Okay, I have no money, but you're gonna build my office," because literally, I think the week before I had my conversation with Joe, and it was Joe and my wife talked me into doing the startup. Anyways, welcome to the show, Allison. Yay!
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And sorry, this light I'm seeing is going in and out. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on and hopefully give some cool insight. And if not, at least we can talk about design and have some fun with it. So either way, I think we'll have a good time.
Yeah. So this episode, not a whole lot of like money talks, but design and construction will probably be the most expensive part. Well, construction in general is going to be the biggest ticket item, and then it's equipment. So your construction is going to be like really, really important. And I think it goes back to like the main philosophy. If you're going to build your first spot or do a renovation, if you're going to do it, and just how I built my office, you kind of have one opportunity to set the tone of your brand and vision and to set it in the right way. So considering an interior designer like yourself would basically set a nice foundation towards your brand. Share a little bit about how you came about to maybe becoming a dental specific interior designer and what led you to your company and how, and we'll get into it later, but how has your style maybe even evolved and would be able to reflect it onto like my own practice. But go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started in the dental industry back in 2012 when I was working for another firm. And that's where I just dove headfirst into dental. I always knew I had a medical preference, like growing up. Again, I mentioned a little bit earlier, but to you, Minh, but I have a passion for helping people. I knew I was never going to be a nurse because I don't have that right side, the right side. No, the left side of the brain. I'm purely right side. So I had a passion for helping people, but I always loved design. And I wanted to do something with design that was going to be more than just residential. Not that residential is bad. It's just not, it doesn't give me that fulfillment that I'm looking for. So when I shifted to dental, it felt right. It felt natural. Like I loved seeing many people use these spaces, and I loved curating these spaces and taking something that some people may be necessarily afraid of, going to the dentist or going to see um, a medical professional, and helping in any way to ease their spirits and lift them up a little bit, to encourage them to go take care of their health, is my number one. So kind of backtracking again, got into it 2012, stayed with that firm until about 2019. And then I went off because I was with them. I was like, you know what? I need to try something different. So I went to a big international architectural firm in DC. And there I definitely saw what it was like not doing dental and medical. We were doing just high end commercial. And that didn't feel quite right either. So I felt like the three little bears. And then finally in 2020, with COVID, coming about, as all, good decisions happen, it was like, why don't we open up in COVID of 2020 while I'm 7 months pregnant? So that's what I did. And it was the best decision I ever made. And I went back into the dental. It just was a natural it just fell naturally, I guess. I knew I wanted to do medical, but I wasn't directly saying it has to be dental, but that's something I always really had a passion of since 2012. I was able and lucky enough to make a name for myself then. And as you know, the dental community is very tight knit. So very lucky for word of mouth to make the way over to Rasmus Interiors. And then I get to work with great people like you. And you, I think, were one of the first people that I worked with my official own, Rasmus Interiors company, and not working with a different firm. So I remember that phone call very well. I was looking out my window and then you were telling me Percival, and I was like, you're going to be in Percival? And you were like, yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're destined to be friends. This is where my husband and I go every weekend. We love Percival and blah, 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 blah. So when we built your space and talked to you and had our visioning presentation, and I got to know you a little bit more and see what your concept was that you wanted for your space, I still remember a couple different things. So you kept saying you wanted super modern, clean, sleek, but you're super fun and quirky. And you have all these, you love sneakers, you love like really cool shoes. And then we also had to include Marvel and Funko Pops. And I remember those were really important to you. And I loved that. I loved the character that you brought. And you just bring that naturally, right? You have that energy and it's not in your face. So we didn't want to make something feel in your face, which using Funko Pops definitely could go in that direction. We wanted to be subtle. So wanted to have fun with it. And I remember being like, okay, I've always wanted to do a swing in a waiting room. It's like, I think Min's going to be the person that we're going to do a swing. And then you were, excuse me, when you had said you wanted an Instagram wall, something that you could just market, I was like, okay.
Very specific about that wall, because most people, they do the pattern logo on like a wall and they take a picture. And then I'm like, they do that because they don't want to put the logo on like Canva or something on like the picture itself, because they can just upload it straight from their phone. I'm like, I don't care what you put here. Just make it something Instagrammable in this corner. Have at it. Whatever you want to do.
Well, and I think people really underestimate the design portion, because a lot of people try to get an office and will just shove like the drop ceiling and the crappy doctor lighting, like, the classic, like, scary doctor's office. And the reason other people get jealous of like the ones like Min's, or like my client Dr. Nick, and like all these guys that have these like really crazy offices, is they put money in the design. It's having like unique features or things, or like the Funko Pops, even though they may not exist after 2025 because they just said they went bankrupt.
No.
Yeah, it was like 3 days ago.
They lost like $14 million this past year, and they're not sure if they're going to make it for the year.
I think it's because Mint stopped buying them. They started losing. They lost a large chunk of their market share once Mint opened his office, so I don't know if that's correlated or not. Like, the big thing that I think, at least like that I've seen with my clients, where I feel like, Allison adds value and like this conversation adds value, is they get scared to spend on the design, and it's really like doing a good design versus none, or lack of better words, a shitty design. You're not
Hmm.
saving that much money. I mean, man, how much did it really change your budget to add the swing and all that fun stuff versus if you didn't?
Long term, because I think
Long term?
long term.
I
No, I
mean, even
mean,
in your budget that you got from the bank, did it really matter? Did that get in the way of you having a chair ready or the
I,
actual
yeah,
equipment you
yeah.
needed?
I think for me and like what our goals were, because we knew we wanted to be fee for service. We were not a state dependent insurance driven practice, and our vision was to provide high end orthodontic care and smile design. And part of us was like, when we saw, even after we had our design with Allison and we got the quote from the GC, and we're looking at it together before we actually do we go and pull the trigger on this. And I took in my wife, and then I'm like, do we go for it, or do we just do this 10 years from now? And then she's like, dude, we got like a good 20 years of our career solid.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it now. And even I do it in my own life now, and I think it's like certain doctors will appeal to it, and when they sign up with an Allison, you're all in. You don't even question anything else. You're just gonna go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So even if the number was bigger and higher than you wanted, which mine was, when you not only have the high end design from a professional designer, you now have to build those high end finishes. So I have some drop ceiling, but I have drywall ceiling, and I have a lot of open ceiling. That's way more expensive just to even build it. So the design part might not even necessarily be the most expensive thing, but looking back, it would not have stopped me.
Mm-hmm.
Could I have continued on my vision, like with what I'm doing now? I think a part of it just kind of like, it's all coming together in fruition with what we're working on now with like the PITS 21 system, this new smile design stuff that we're trying to do. It fits with our office. And I think no matter what advice I receive or give other people, the individual person, I think, has a little partial destiny that they were going to do something regardless of what someone else was going to say. Like their mind was already internally made up.
I agree.
You just meet a Joe to maybe inspire you to do this startup because you have that alpha personality to just do it and make the leap of faith. You meet an Allison with that skill set, and it opens up your eyes to what you could have that you were going to sign up anyways, regardless of what the cost was going to be. You were going to figure it out. So it wasn't going to stop me. And looking back, I mean, like we're growing like crazy right now, and it's kind of like an afterthought. And now you're in the space, and the way it's all laid out in the design, it's kind of hard to work in any other environment. You get used to it because you look good, feel good, play good. You're in the right space, and you just want to provide better care. I think it's very rare to have low end care with a high end space. It just doesn't. The personality of the doctor doesn't go together at all.
Well, and there's something to be said. I mean, the interior that you're in can drastically change how you feel, how you work, the productivity that you have. So looking at it as just like a dollar point versus a holistic picture of how is this going to impact and benefit my brand at the end of the day, and looking at it as going towards your brand. So it's a huge thing, right? When people walk in your front door and they see your spaceman and then they meet you, the whole point is for the space and for you to mesh so well that it's like, why? Of course, Min would never have any other office because this is so him. And so that's your brand. And like that is going to add dollar value all on its own. And thinking about that from like a holistic perspective, that just versus like breaking down, okay, well, equipment's this much, construction's this much, IT's this much, designs this much, architecture's this much, like thinking through it as, well, where is that going to get me? And if we eliminate design, because obviously you can't eliminate equipment, can't eliminate cabinetry, like those are all things you need, right? You can't actually, do without. So there is something to be said about neurosensory branding and making sure that that all fits together really well. And that's what people beyond your care remember too, is how they felt in the space and how you made them feel. But how you make them feel is not only comes from you, but it comes from the space that you're providing them to feel comfortable in, and saying like, I see you, I care about you as a patient, I want you to feel good. And like, I developed this and created this and curated this for you so that you can feel good. And also the people that work for you, right? It says a lot going to work when people are like, okay, like you feel important and you feel valued when you work somewhere that is elevated versus, we went through the exercise too, men, right? It's not about elevating
Yeah.
every single space in your practice either. It's
No.
honing in on certain
Right.
areas.
When we were going through, I think this is a nice opportunity. Let's start with when I went ahead and signed up and we got started on our process.
Mm-hmm.
You have like the initial vision and you did these different tests and you looked at my lookbook. And this is me, I never asked you this question, but what goes through your process in just that step alone? What are you trying to pull and filter out, and how did it reflect into my space a little bit? And how does it reflect in like other people's space that you're trying to filter out of people?
Absolutely. So when I ask for inspirational images, it's a huge look into what you're seeing, right? So everybody has different terminology for modern design or farmhouse design, or like my farmhouse in my mind could be completely different than yours. So when you present modern sleek, I fully can understand and get into your brain and pair it with what that actually means to you. And then a lot of times, if not all the time, we'll go through this exercise because there's usually a consistent piece in every single one, like every single image, there's a connection point. Like maybe it's wood slats. There was something that you kept saying, because I go through every image. What do you like about this image? What don't you like? What do you like about this image? What don't you like? And it's really just a way for me to hone in and ask extreme details. So at the very end, we get to a very more refined and tighter knit perspective of what you're looking for versus just a bunch of different inspo photos.
Yeah. So I think that's a good tip for regardless of if someone wants to hire a designer or not, and before they start their project and they're already contemplating the startup. So a tip, guys, go ahead and work on your Pinterest or your house account. Go through images of not just dental offices, but houses in general, or any sort of commercial real estate, anything. And actually list out what you like about each image and what you don't like. That all comes together. It's good to eliminate stuff as much as it is to like certain things. Right? And whether you can take that information, you can bring it to a designer, a GC, a architect, and we'll get into that shortly. But that's actually really, really important. That's a really nice, easy exercise. You can do it from your phone, from anywhere you're at. So you're trying to piece all that together. And then, as I told you, before we started, when you actually came up with, the most exciting time was actually the 3D rendering reveal. Because me and my wife, we have no idea what it's going to look like. And we were having a little bit of an off day, remember? And then I was like, all right, let's see what we got over here. I have no idea what it looks like. And it was not what I imagined at all. But it gave me a look that was kind of like, wow, like the vote of confidence that we're going to be okay. Let's build this space.
Yeah.
This is an aspect that separates us and part of our brand.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
How did you come up with that look? Go ahead.
I was going to say,
Joe.
before you go into that, I think when you're building these, people forget they're spending almost $1 million. And when you're spending $800,000 to $1 million to build an office, it really is because you mentioned the fee for service and how a lot of people doing service are fee based, whether fee for service or just taking an umbrella or two. It's not even just that. It's if you're gonna spend $800,000 to $1 million on something, you really want it to be you're gonna be in there. You said 20 years. You're not gonna fix it in 5, 10 years. It's just not gonna ever happen. You have one shot where you're not in there, and you have all this time to fix the space. And that's why I think it matters. I don't think anybody realistically is going inside and remodeling their entire office unless they're tearing down a wall and building up more chairs or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they have to usually be doing an extension, like an extended
Yeah, that's the only
space
time,
to
and
bring
you're
that
not
in,
doing
and
that
then you
in a
can move
year
over
or two.
there and then do the old one. But most of the times when people are going through some sort of change, like an older acquisition, they're changing the furniture, they're repainting the walls. Maybe they rip off the old rug carpet, like medical carpet, and they're putting in some LVTs or something. And that's about the biggest changes that they have. And if they want to extend their budget, maybe they're changing the cabinets. And I don't know, what do you think, Allison, like in terms of that's pretty much the extent if someone does a do-it-yourself renovation.
Yeah.
That's about all they can do.
When I've been
And then you
telling
paint.
people, sorry, I was gonna say I've been
There.
telling people to hire someone like you when they buy an office, because when you buy an office, even though people think you could just do that easy crap, like that's the one time you get a large amount of working capital is when you buy one. They give you
Mm-hmm.
200,000-300,000 extra dollars to do exactly what you are talking about,
Yeah.
to actually make it nice, and people just sit on it. And I tell them all the time, like, spend the money, like put it in the office now, because you're not like Allison. How many people hire you when they're 5 years into owning an office versus how many people hire you
Never.
when they're when
Never.
It's very rare. I either get people as they're building or as they're doing it, or it's a doctor that's been there for 30 years and then they're like, okay, like we need like a refresh. So it's those two, but it's never been 5, 10, 15 years. And it's majority like right off the bat is when they do it. And then we can, I mean, going into it too, when we're doing the design phase too, the floor plan, a lot of times clients will come to me and say, okay, which is okay. Like I'll work with a floor plan, but
You mean
there's
the free ones?
right. There's times where like they don't want to change it. And I'm like, I absolutely can work with it, but let me tell you why I think we should adjust it. We don't have to change the whole thing, but let's adjust it. Because design starts from the floor plan phase and conceptually thinking through how functional it is, the flow. But brains, the neurosensory and the neurodesign of our brains want to see jagged edges and walls that go in and out, ceilings that are disconnected, puts stress on the mind. So if we can create as clean, consistent hallways or like precise areas, it's going to make the brain feel a lot better. And it starts from the floor plan. So thinking through even down to creating pathways, right? That are going to be subconscious. Like they're subconsciously going to be going from one area to the next, but you don't have to tell your patient where to go because they're just going to go down that pathway because the design brings them down that pathway. But again, all of that starts in the floor plan phase. When you walk in and do you want to see like a shiny face or do you want to come in and see like a beverage station to the left hand side or the right hand side, like when you first walk in and then you get to the desk. Like there's just elements to think through that we want to make sure, or, you know, if you have your reception desk and then to the right, if there's no wall, are people looking directly at your receptionist, and that's going to make your receptionist feel uncomfortable? Or do we need to put walls behind the receptionist? So, you know, people can't see their monitors, but also for them working behind, having that sense of comfort. So, you know, biggest thing that I always talk about is function is the most important part of this whole thing. If you have zero function, but the space is beautiful, you have nothing. You have
It's really
absolutely
hard to
nothing.
work in.
Yeah.
Like guys, if
There's
you
no
put
point.
if you plan on storing your equipment and it's like 200 feet away from where your chair is, it is, I don't care how nice it is, you're
Mm-mm.
not going to have a good time working. Like it
Yeah.
has to flow really easily for the provider, the patients. And I think as a side bonus, it's really like your team when they're working in that space. So when I designed my office, I kept all three of those things in mind. Like, am I comfortable? And then are the patients comfortable? And
Mm-hmm.
from anybody working here, are they going to enjoy working very efficiently with minimal number of steps to get what they need to do to move on to the next step? And the I think when we started working together, you were just really diving into the neurosensory thing. And I'm trying to think back in your process. So
I
when
think
you're
we
designing
went through
your
the five senses, didn't we?
we did.
Yeah.
We still went through it. And I think it was like, if we go back to the floor plan, because I was trying to go into like your head as much as I could in our meetings. When you design the floor plan, you're designing it with the eyes. If you're walking in, what do you see?
Yes.
in this room?
In like 3D,
Does it flow
I'm like
together in three-dimensionally?
visualizing all the walls.
Where a doctor sees it from a bird's eye view with squares on a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
very accurate.
it's all about flow, and then you created different repeating themes that with slight variance throughout the office based on personality and like your lookbook, basically, of what you wanted.
Which is also very calming to the mind. So there's a reason designers, whether they know why they're doing it or not,
Correct.
they're doing repeat patterns. And again, like I get really nerdy and excited about all the neurodesign pieces, but there's fractal systems at play that you see in, which is basically just repeat of patterns that you see in nature. Even like the human lungs have a fractal pattern to it. So incorporating this into a space actually helps calm the humans. And I have a fun tidbit. One of my favorite things to share is something that I learned in my studies with the neurodesign, that design in so many ways kind of starts from infancy. And that sounds insane, but I'll explain why. So when you're born, infants, it's blurry. They can't see much, right? So when they look up, they see two eyes and a mouth, and it's kind of dark. All they kind of see is holes. And that shape is a triangle. So when the infant constantly is seeing a triangle form, and who's feeding them? Their mother or father or somebody with a bottle. They're getting programmed from a very young age that is beautiful and that is calming. It makes them feel good. Over time, obviously, as you grow, and have you ever heard in the design world, like the pairs of three feel good and like always put things in pairs of three? I don't know if you ever heard that, but it's like a design.
I heard it from you when it came to.
Did I tell you it? Okay.
Yeah, it was with like social media posts. So I try to post photos in groups of 3 at a time, really just because you said so. And I said, okay, I'll go in groups of 3.
What do you mean? Like it means like everything it should be in groups of 3 of like similar items.
So that's just one example of like a fractal pattern, is the triangular pattern. But it's basically anything that the human mind can subconsciously relate to something that is calming to them or that is commonly seen. So there's patterns within trees. And because we see trees a lot, it's inherently just becomes
Is it
like, yeah.
Is it similar to like the Fibonacci sequence? Because it's in thirds. And in dentally, like you have the central incisors is, let's say 100%. From a direct viewpoint, your lateral incisor is going to be, from a direct view, is 1/3 less the size of your central incisor. And then the canine is an additional third. We're going to have coffee one day. I'm going to show you what I'm working on.
I'm excited.
I'll show you what I'm doing.
You're saying, and this sounds incredible, and I need to learn more about it.
I thought with all this, I really thought you were just saying how triangles are pyramids and pyramids are the strongest shape. And all shapes fit inside the pyramid, right, Min? Did you know that?
What'd you say?
Every shape fits inside a pyramid.
Wait, seriously?
Oh, it's like a sphere. Okay, that could fit.
Neither of you guys watch The Office, huh?
Now I'm going to be
not that far.
All the shapes together or independently?
Neither of you guys have seen The Office, have you? The show?
You messed up his punchline.
No, you just don't know. It's sad. It's in the Office. They have a.
We're not that cool.
The iPod. It like the show The Office, like the paper company. They start selling their version of the iPhone. It's like a big pyramid thing, and the guy says it's the oldest shape. It's as old as time. It's the strongest shape, and it fits all shapes inside of it. And I'm pretty sure all those things are fake.
Is it Dwight saying that?
It is the strongest shape.
No, it wasn't Dwight. It was Ryan Howard, the intern guy, like who acts all weird. He said all shapes fit inside the pyramid. I was like, I had to think about that. I don't think so, but
it's possible. It small enough, everything fits inside of a pyramid, right?
But that's right. That's what I thought of when he said the triangle thing, and like it's like people are thinking about it. All I thought of was that line in The Office, how all shapes fit inside of it. And it's
Joe somehow is able to get in like Easter eggs in every episode of some sort of pop culture reference.
You're just not cultured. I'm very worried about it, man. You should have known that reference.
I
I
feel
was
like I need to
born in
watch The Office
America.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we're gonna
season.
look it up.
It was like season
We'll find it.
season 6. No, it was season 6. I've memorized every. I watched the entire Office, all 9 seasons, about like 20 times. I watch every night before bed.
I'm gonna
So
expect you to know the episode too.
it was like it's probably season 6, like episode 19 or 20.
You really do know.
It's pretty close. It's got to be one of those. Yeah, I'm gonna be right in there too. Like people are gonna be like, oh my god, that's like pretty dead on. Like, that's where it was. It was somewhere in there. It was right after Will Ferrell. He was in there for 2 episodes.
Well, I hope out of
Oh, was he? Okay.
everything, people tuning in tonight now know that good information about. I know I didn't know that.
It was
that
extremely
all-
valuable, Joe. Thank
All
you.
the shapes.
We
fit.
added
All the
about 5
shapes
minutes to this
inside the
episode.
pyramid. I added an unnecessary 5 minutes. Well, I just can't get
People
over
are
that. That
driving
makes
to work. People are listening to this.
all
They are
10 of our-
stopping in their tracks. They're taking care of their kids
Mhm.
to talk about pyramids and shapes that fit into it. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Somebody has to care about the pyramids. They were built for a reason.
That's
Okay.
true. That's true. Well, I mean, honestly though,
Yeah, where were we
although
at?
the triangle, the
The
baby,
triangles and the 3.
yeah, as
Yes.
you know, if anyone's tuning in now, understanding triangles and babies and how that relates to design, again, it's just a particular fractal system, and in design, using that helps people feel calm for certain reasons. So there's a difference between what's innately beautiful and in taste. There's spaces that people all can go into and feel good, right? And it's like, this is beautiful. But like, why is it beautiful? And there's science behind why it's beautiful. And that just gets me really excited. Anyways,
We're gonna have like another catch up dinner / lunch, like we did like I think like 6 or 8 months ago, Allison.
mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff I'm working on, literally, why is this like the people have nice smiles? Why is it really really nice? Because people can't explain
Triangles, babies, pyramids.
You mean like why it looks nice when you look at people
Correct.
with good
Correct.
smiles?
Some of the stuff that we're doing right now, it's not just straight teeth. Straight teeth is just one aspect. I've come up with that.
What is it? The
I have
myofacial? Not myo. Am I even saying it right?
It's
Is it
about-
myofacial?
I'll say it's about when someone smiles, it's about aesthetic flow of your teeth. And like when you look at a smile, I start in the middle and I veer from the middle outwards. Are there any distractions? Does it show all the teeth? Does it create an arc with the biting surfaces, or are they flat? Do you even see the teeth at all? Some people smile and they're like,
Yeah.
like you don't see the teeth. So as an orthodontist, I can cheat. I can pull the teeth downwards, which is a very, very advanced technique. Things that we're doing now that most people, we're not traditionally trained that way. No different than this
Okay,
space
so
is
this
really, really
isn't
nice.
something
This is
that
not
you come
normal
out of-
training.
Okay.
No, not at all. You're trained to simply straighten teeth, put them together, determine whether or not they need surgery or another appliance. But in terms of actually creating what looks really, really good, that is very much a subset of orthodontics and a little bit of cosmetic dentistry terminology and techniques meshed together. Things that I'm working on is that aspect. And like, it looks good. Why is it good? She has a nice smile. Why is it smile? Why is she 60 years old, but yet she looks 10 years younger?
I knew
And
you
yet
were
someone the
destined for
same
good
age.
things.
Yeah.
I
So
knew you were.
it all comes together
That's
with your
fascinating.
space that you designed
Yes.
and what we're doing now.
It does
it's
though.
It's awesome. Like it was destined to do it. So
And there has
Tamana's
to be
learning
a
it now.
scientific reason behind it in the brain, like why
Correct.
why that is appealing. Because
I'll show you at
everybody.
dinner sometime.
I'm
I'll
so
show you.
excited. Okay.
Yeah, you'll like this stuff. It's really really good. Wait, no, yeah, we have like the neuroscience thing you're working on,
Mm-hmm.
groups of 3. I think. How about what is when you walk into a
I have
space
a
where they
question before I
Oh, go- yeah.
forget, because I know you wrote all yours down. What would you? It's true, you wrote them all down. I'm looking at you, looking at something. What would you recommend for? Because I've had like probably about a dozen people ask me in the past week about like, because startups are coming. Like at the end of the year, what happens is, excuse me, I keep burping from this Topo cheap goat thing. It's giving me.
Is
Sitting
that
on
our
this,
sponsors
I'm sitting
again?
on this stool And I gotta no, it is. It's passion fruit.
Wait, are
It's
you drinking
amazing.
an energy drink?
Topo
No,
Chico.
I drink Topo Chico,
What is
and
this?
then I change the flavor every episode. But this time it's passion fruit because I have passion for my job and asking
Yes.
questions and triangles. But
He gives a shameless plug to Topo Chico, which I looked up is
yeah,
owned
I
by
do.
Coca-Cola.
Topo
He wants a
Chico.
sponsor.
What is it?
Chico
Is it
paid
soda?
us. Yeah, I get
Carbonated
10
drink.
cents. I get 10 cents for every can just for mentioning Topo Chico in the podcast. That's what they told me. They give them to me for free. They send cases to my house because of how popular we are. But I like what happens is at the end of the year, a bunch of people try to buy offices for taxes, and then what happens is all the people that didn't buy offices get really sad, and they ask me to do a startup. And I probably have like a dozen people I've talked to this week where the deals that they were going to take died, and now they want to do a startup. And I guess I have two. It's a two-parter. When should someone engage you to know if it's the space is good for what they're trying to do? Because you're crucial to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other question is, um, how much time should they allocate? Like if they're in that early, if they're starting, like they should they talk to you? Like how much should they talk to you before they sign the lease or after? And like how much time should they give to build this plan with you? Because I'm not involved. I'm never involved in this process, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
like that's why Min really wanted you on here. Is like this is
Yeah.
something where we're trying to get more involved because people have shitty designers or like they
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of mistakes where it doesn't affect them from like their work, but they could get more patience if they had cleaner
Mm-hmm.
offices or better visions or avoided some problems. Like, can you give some insight on that and how we can avoid some of these problems?
Yeah. Earlier start is always the better, and the reason being, I have clients that they're going in between 3 different spaces, and
Mm-hmm.
they're all, somewhat, let's say like 2,500 square feet. They're all in that realm of 2,500 square feet, but they're all very different shapes. So doing a test fit in the beginning for each one of those spaces, or maybe just 2, who knows, will give them great insight before they sign and be like, oh man, like this isn't going to be as functional as I'd hoped it to be, or because of this interesting shape, like for instance, like a row home or like a really long, skinny
That's hard.
townhouse. So it's wide enough to put, a row
You
of
could fit
treatment
you
rooms
could fit your
down.
chairs in there, but it's not
Totally.
going to flow very well.
But you're not on the flip side, you have space. You're either going to have like a 6 or 7 foot hallway, but you only have like 2 feet by like 20 feet long left to play with. So it would be great to know. And then if you're in love with that building, then go for it. But at least moving ahead what you're signing up for. So I would say as early as possible. But I have a lot of clients that have a space that they've already found, and then they come and then we start the process. But I would say floor plan phase is like the bare minimum
I
of when you
agree.
should get rolling if you want to go through the process as it should be done, which allows you to comfortably go through it and not rush through the process, because we go through like a 3-phase process: visioning, schematic, design development. And so schematics like halfway in the middle just to make sure we're on the right track. Design development is what's considered the final design, and then the visioning is the very first presentation. And I don't know why I didn't do that in order. Here we are.
It doesn't matter.
And then to give you, your other question was how long. So was the question how long the timeline is from start of signing to when
Yes. So like
construction
when they
starts?
like like how long is the process with you and like so then they have expectations because people don't realize how long this takes.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
want to try to avoid people hiring you or someone like you at the end because I think that's why people like a lot of the woes I have with my doctors are either they rush your portion or they're just rushing the construction in general. And that's when it like you'll hear like we burst a pipe and it flooded the office. It happened 3 times this year. I've had 3 starts completely flood and they've had to start all over and
Mm-hmm.
like they lost $500,000 like of
Oh,
space. because you're rushing the construction team. You get the money back, like we insure it, they get the money back, but like that's 9 months. You're restarting that whole.
You are.
It's not even if you're made whole, you lost money. Like it doesn't matter, and like there's that, and then there's the other portion where I feel like they're doing that thing where they think they're gonna do it later because they didn't give enough time to actually get a designer, and they're just, I'm trying to figure out what that timeline is.
Yeah, well, and to your point, in that sense, sometimes they think they're gonna save money by waiting, but if you backtrack, like you said, you can spend more money. And also, if you come in the middle of a design, or for instance, I have been brought in before where the floor plan's done, the permitting is done, and
Oh my
they're
God.
like,
Oh my God, I'm dying over here. I'm dying.
and then it's like, can we do the whole process?
No.
And it's like
what
it'll be very compromised. Like
right.
Like there are things you're compromised on that they don't realize. You don't know what you don't know, or what
Correct.
it could be. You see what it could be. I see what it could be when I see someone with messed up teeth, and you don't know what you don't know.
Well, and then, I mean, the process is a process because it takes anywhere from, and this is a big range, but it takes anywhere from like 6 to 10 weeks. 6,
Correct.
I can do, it's dependent on like
the provider,
intricacy, right? And yes, and where we are in the phase, but where we are in the phase, also, I'll go back and be like, okay, realistically, this is what we can give you within that time frame. But, I've had it happen before. If I'm introduced halfway, now they're spending more money to the GC because the GC is on hold, waiting for us to now finish because we started late. So now they're spending more money while the GC is on hold, just so that we can do the work that we could have done before to make it seamless, so that then all could have been done appropriately. And not to mention, if we're doing things post permitting and they're already building according to permit, for instance, like sink placement or lighting fixture options or pendant light options, if they're already building and going
ceiling
that direction, ceiling heights, I mean, you've seen it happen, right, man? Like, and GCs just come in as they should. That's their job. They read the documents that are provided and they build
Correct.
it. But
That's
if the documents that are provided are from the architect and there's no designer or anybody else at that point in time, that's what they're going off of. So you could have to backtrack, then they're ripping ceilings out. So it's definitely beneficial to be in the beginning phases because it's just such cleaner transition for them overall.
It's kind of like Joe, like where we had a Legend and Ian. It's always easier from the very beginning to build.
Well, that's why I'm trying to get the like
then clean up someone else's mess.
6 to 10 weeks is reasonable too. It's like that's the beginning part of your project, and that's where I'm trying to plug these people in, because these are people that like we just passively let the experts pick, and now we're learning like sometimes the experts don't pick them as much, and they're letting the client do it, and they're letting the client do more than like, I don't want to say more than they should, but like they're giving more freedom where there really isn't.
Yeah.
And then people are having similar projects. Like that's really the reality is they're like, things are more expensive now, and everybody's scared to tell somebody to do something because they don't want to get yelled at because things are more expensive. But we have to keep telling these people, because if they miss some of these key things, like an Ian with like if you have bad IT and all your text shit, you're going to be slow. If you don't have the floor plan you want, like I always think of like McDonald's, like having the perfect floor plan, like that's McDonald's it's actually, they have the perfect way to make a burger in 20, 30 seconds. System.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super efficient.
And that's what I do with my team. I've changed. If you look at our website, I've changed people's jobs and titles like every 3-4 months. And it's because it's just wrong. And I have to, you just keep moving it. People complain. They're like, well, this isn't how a normal company works. Like, well, then go somewhere else. Because, like, you weren't good at this, and now I'm finding out you're good at this, and you just keep moving it. And that's what a floor plan should be. It should be the most efficient thing, like you said, for the doctor to bird's eye do the job, but also for the patient to feel like they're not going to get, like, molested. And, like, that's
absolutely the goal.
Yeah, he's correct. He's right.
Doctor's offices are
seriously,
scary.
That wasn't like a funny. That was
it was funny, but I got serious too.
I mean, between the Boy Scouts and my doctors, I mean, I've had quite a few encounters.
Do you mean Scout? Hold on 1 second. Hold on, here we go. I got it. Scoutmaster Kevin?
Yeah. Deadpool, can you show me where Scoutmaster Kevin touched you?
Scoutmaster Kevin. Don't worry about it. All right, Joe. Scoutmaster Kevin? You mean like I'm gonna be in a comfortable space, Allison, over here? Do I do my dental work? Oh my god.
Should I get one of my daughter's Barbies and we can
No, you don't feed his problem.
No, I kind of like it. It's fun.
I
But
just happen to have them here.
it's
no, that's
true
basically
though.
it.
Like, and it's fine if you want to get molested, but like those offices are set up. Then it just goes back to floor plan. Design a floor plan where you're attracting that clientele and you're setting those expectations, and that's
Hold
fine
on.
too.
I can't move on before we talk about the molestation piece. Are you talking about how the chairs are set up in closed treatment rooms?
Yeah,
I need more
he
explanation.
was
I
he
can't
was
move
making
on.
a joke like
Yeah.
you're gonna build enough space to
Right.
where regardless of the age and what your
Yeah.
goal is, the patients are gonna feel comfortable, whether you're the doctor, the patient, and like,
Yeah, you don't want it to
The
be
team.
a creepy. Like a lot of
yeah, you
doctors'
want to be
offices
very
are creepy.
comfortable.
Like
Yes.
you go down. Like I've been in some. You go down a scary hallway, go into a
Mhm.
scary room,
like
and
go
then
into
it's
this dark room.
closed.
Okay.
It gets
Okay.
dark.
Yeah.
The gloves come on, and they're checking your prostate, and it's your orthodontist. And you're like, wait a minute. And then Min just says to shut up and take some photos, and I go home. And like, you don't want that.
It's true.
Like
Yeah.
you don't want that.
No,
Well,
you
and if
don't
you
want
want
that.
that experience, design an office for that experience. I just probably won't go there more than once
Yep.
a year.
Yeah. valid.
So I think to share my process with Allison timeline wise, we first had our introduction to each other was at least 2021. Was it before COVID, Allison? I want to say it was before COVID. I don't know. Or was it in the middle of
I think it was
COVID?
I think it was 2020.
Okay.
So that's COVID,
So
right?
it
That
would
was
have been at COVID time in 2020.
Yeah.
I didn't even graduate till 2021, but
Mhm.
Allison already knew I was like,
Yeah.
she's on my radar.
Yes.
I'm on her
Yeah.
radar. She knows the project is going to come.
Mm-hmm.
That's her lead time then. And then my lease, a LOI didn't go in until 2022 at the very end. And then it wasn't until halfway-ish through the lease negotiations where, okay, we're really much finalizing because I've already dumped $10,000-$15,000 just on the lawyer alone to go back and forth
Mm-hmm.
to get the lease. That means we are really close to finalizing this. We're probably months of just like 1 or 2 months away. I said, and then I finalized with Allison. I'm like, okay, what can we go through now that can get you started to when we know this is the space, go ahead and do the test fit. Because you
Mhm.
still have lots of visionary stuff you do beforehand before you even get to the test fit.
Mm-hmm.
And that right when the lease was basically, we knew we were going to go into the space like a month or two before we signed it. Then that's when I think it was like, July, I want to say, because we signed in
Mhm.
September. We said, go ahead and do the test fit. Now let's really, really design this thing. So by the time September came around, lease was signed, we had deliverables ready to go.
Correct. And then from September, because I can't remember the timeline exactly.
Yeah.
So from September.
This is September 2023 now. Well, no, September 2022.
Three.
3?
2.
23?
No,
No,
2.
2022. Because I
Two.
opened in October.
2.
Oh,
2.
okay,
Okay,
yeah, so 2022.
So you and I started in September 2022, and then you opened, like you were done with construction when?
September 2020. We
Yeah, it
started
took about a year.
construction
Yeah, because your
February
opening was
2023.
October.
Yeah, the
Yep.
lease was signed in September 2022. You had deliverables ready by September 2022 because this
Mhm.
went straight to NEMA.
Correct. Yeah.
We started our official, now full-on interior Rasmus process experience in like the summer
Mhm.
before the lease signing. We were really like right there because
Mhm.
my lease signing negotiation took about like a few months, and
Yeah,
that's
and then
when we
we
were really rolling our stuff.
We had everything done before the permits
Correct.
came back.
Correct.
So during permitting, it's like killing two birds with one stone. They're in the
Mhm.
permitting. You and I are doing the design,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's getting priced out. We're value engineering where we can, and then by the time the permits were up, ready to hit the ground
Yep.
running.
Correct.
And
We did
then-
start. GC started ordering stuff, and then
And when was that? Like, when did construction start?
hammer swinging was a little bit of delay. I think it was literally like January February before
Okay.
they were actually trenching. Like, and then
Yeah,
from
okay, that
February,
feels so 5 months
yeah,
from the point of
yeah,
signing your lease to
correct. Yeah, there's a lot of
swinging the
red tape.
hammer.
There's a lot, guys. If you guys don't already know, there's a lot of waiting around. Where like if you put everybody in a vacuum, the projects could actually get done really really quickly. But there's a lot of waiting around and a lot of timelines and then spacing out of stuff that you have to
Takes
just
8 to 12
account for.
months. It
Yeah,
takes a while.
it's not
People think
unusual.
it's
So just
4 or 5,
be patient.
or it could take a year. It's
Yeah.
very.
But when hammer swinging starts, it can go pretty quickly. But you want to
Yeah.
have all of that stuff done on the front end. Because then after that, Allison would just come out for like 1 or 2 checks and then
Yep.
grand opening. But she knew everything about the project and was in communication all the time. So that's general timeline, guys. So I met Allison years, like at least a minimum 1 or 2 years before even started, knowing I was going to work with her. Leading up into right where I'm like, okay, this is the space we're going into. We signed up together and we were starting the process. And then we had deliverables ready so that it was a seamless transition from when
Right.
lease signing to getting things ready to the architect to send to for permitting to the county. So I think that's a good segue into one of the most popular questions that I get. They call me all the time about my design. Who did this? Who's your architect? Who's your designer? No. And I have to reset. I'm like, hey, let's slow down. I want to be distinguishedly clear about who did my stuff because my
Right.
floor plan was actually done by Ideal Practices,
Mm-hmm.
who you still really actually liked my floor plan
I
and what they did.
loved that floor plan. Real, and
You were actually
I told
impressed
you,
with it.
yes, and I'm brutally honest too when I look at them, and I will rip
Yeah.
it apart if I need to.
Yeah. So the
and I
floor
really
plan was
liked it.
done. So my floor plan was done. I have to slow down the people. I'm like, hey guys, you're asking about this word interior designer, architect. You're throwing it left and right. Let me distinguish the roles real quickly, and then I'll answer the question. I'll be like, my floor plan was done by Ideal Practices. My interior designer was done by Allison.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my architect, I don't really think they care who submitted the permitting. It's
Right.
like, guys, that's just the person that just does the red tape stamps for the actual construction is permitted to allow to be done. And I think a lot of people don't understand that each of those 3 roles with interior design, architect,
Mm-hmm.
and even floor plan person can be it can be 3 different people. They can be 1 person.
Yes.
It could
Yep.
be just 2 out of the 3 roles.
Uh-huh.
Can you, in your words, describe to our audience, like, what are those 3 roles and like how they separate from one another?
Yeah, absolutely. So really good example, or good explanation. So the floor planning could come from, let's say, like Benko, Patterson, or Shine. They do
Mm-hmm.
test fit. So it could come from that. That would be considered like a generalized floor plan or ideal practices, right? Which is a step even further down to the floor plan thinking because and then there's a designer that similarly to what I think ideal practices, they're thinking through all the aspects of your practice. They're not just thinking about equipment, they're not just thinking about IT, they're not just thinking about cabinetry. They have a focus on the whole space. And that's what
Actually, there for them, but their interior design process, they don't do any interior design. They literally their process
just
is
do the floor plan, right?
they just do the floor plan,
Mhm.
and you talk, and the client will talk to the GC with like their Pinterest,
Right.
and
Okay.
then give your what you like and what you don't like, and then it's the discussion between the doctor and the GC.
Okay.
That's their
Okay.
process.
Okay.
Yep.
So an interior designer can do the floor plan per code for ADA requirements from the very beginning. And then the interior designer will hand that over to an architect. And the architect's super important because they really handle coordination with the MEP engineer, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and then also do load calculations and certain other important items that they have to take care of for the county. And of course, they run the permitting. So we have 2 different distinct roles in it. And can an architect do an interior floor plan? Yes. And in the role that I play, usually it's the floor plan work and then sending off the floor plan, which is to code, with the reflected ceiling plan over to an architect. And then the architect is working with his team, with MEP engineers, and then they're running for permits and submitting for permits. And then, of course, in there, or you could have like a floor plan designer, or I don't know what you call it, but like a floor plan person do it as well. So those are like the two distinct pieces between interior design and architecture. So an interior designer cannot run permits unless they also have an architectural degree and have their stamp. And actually you can be an architect, but actually not have the stamp. So you have to have the stamp in order to run permits.
They have their own certs that they have to cover.
Stamps are very important.
A lot of that stuff. Yeah. Very, very important.
And people ask me all the time, they're like, wait, so how can you do this nationwide? And I'm like, well, I don't run the permits. That's the architect, and the architect is always local to whatever county that we're working in. And the architect, I usually highly suggest, unless they already have one, that they work with the GC and use whoever the GC suggests. Because a lot of times they have relationships, connections, and you're going to spend a lot less usually if you go with a GC's architect versus outsourcing a separate architect to come in. And there are areas that interior designers and architects could overlap, but that's why it's good to go with, for instance, like the GC's architect, that their focus is truly just getting it into the county through permitting submission and running with it, so that they're not providing you with similar services.
And guys, like, why is it so important, like, for the audience, when you work with a GC that already has a relationship with an architect, particularly if you work with a dental specific GC, they 99 out of 100 already know who is going to be the architect, because it's little things that you don't see. It's the size of the pipes, the amount of power you need, how many HVAC you need. The GC is already very comfortable, and those questions are answered with what kind of materials they have to order that you don't see in the walls and in the floors. The architect handles for them.
Well, and that's why we have the consultants to watch the GC to keep them in line, but also, like, there's certain easy stuff that, like, you know, you just let them do. Like, why would you not want the architect that's working with the contractor that you got?
Correct.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, it's, even if it's $100 more, it might be faster. Like, you want people, at least for that type of job, you want people, like, you already picked the one you like. You just go with who that, you have to trust who that person likes at that point. You know? It's like a dentist with a lab. That's the best thing. Like, you already picked the dentist. You're kind of stuck with, you have to trust their judgment on the lab, because you wouldn't have went to the dentist if they weren't good.
Well, yeah, and you're going to, or you should be going to, a general contractor that has done dental in the past, at least a couple times, if not many more, which would be my recommendation. But that contractor is already going to have, like you said, a dental specific architect, and having them iron out all of those details then versus having to, again, go back on site and, like you said, Min, working out the pipes, or not knowing that the delivery system was going to the chair versus the cart. Like, those are huge things that could, during groundwork, make a huge difference if the architect doesn't know, is unaware of, like, the dental world and the questions to ask too. Like, where's your delivery system? Are you using, a great example, are you doing a water bottle on your chair?
City water or
are you
bottled
going to
water?
do city water? Like, you wouldn't know to ask that unless you're in the dental world, right? And you know, that makes a big difference, because you either have to provide plumbing or you don't. So things like that, it just creates so much less stress than trying to piecemeal it together in other directions. So, like, I think a lot of times when people, and I'm a firm believer, just when you go to the professionals, you're not going to be disappointed. But trying to piecemeal things together, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be paying more than if you just went to the professionals to begin with.
And it'll be sad, because you're going to add people that aren't always working together too.
I think where
stuff, like, everybody works with people that they're going to work with. Like, there's other people that do startups different than us. We wouldn't recommend them, but they're not recommending us. Not necessarily they think we're bad, but there's people you just already know how to work with. It's easier. You know what I mean, man?
That's right. And I think where, for you guys you guys might realize now, as doctors, these are people that are typically, like, the top of their class. they're used to getting like straight A's. They're used to doing it themselves. They're used to just learning things on their own. And they always feel like they can do everything. And like, no, I don't want to pay for this. And I will figure it out myself. And I can do it myself. Or they'll just go on Google and like, no, I can design this. How hard can it be? Because they see interior designer as like, I always do my intro emails. Allison is not just a mom with a fancy Pinterest.
Yeah.
Okay. Like there's more to it than that. Doctors always feel like they can do it themselves. And, you know, I think for anybody considering it, even a little bit, just have the conversation with a professional like an Allison that can see what they can like deliver for you and like what their role is and how much of a stress reliever it was. Because me and Tamara are looking at each other, we're like, neither one of us are good at this at all, and we're not even going to try. And I knew it from the beginning. Now, obviously, I was already a big fanboying like earlier, like working with you anyways. But no, that was pretty good.
That was well said.
Yeah. I want to go back to like my old question. And then it was, I was like, I'll share with you, Allison, what I was actually envisioning, what I thought I was going to have.
Yeah.
And when you showed me the 3D rendering of what it is now, and I'm like, how did she come up with this based on my lookbook? Because in my head, I thought it was going to have the Apple Store concrete gray floors. I think the white oak somewhat stuff was going to be there because Apple Store has
They have that, yeah.
the white oak furniture.
Yep.
And then I thought my whole ceiling was going to be totally open, but I didn't. Like a Starbucks is black.
Right.
Totally open with like pipes everywhere. So it's a little bit industrial. And my personality was modern, sleek, contemporary, a touch of funkiness to it. But I always envisioned my ideal man condo cave, whatever it is, like Upper West Side Village in like Manhattan and like some rustic style like bachelor pad. That's what I envision.
You just described so many different concepts too, and that one rustic, modern. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
How did you, based on what I discussed, that's what I thought I was going to get.
Yes.
How did you come up with? It was a lot more.
She has what's called realistic expectations, man. And she made you an actual product because you've literally named, as you were saying that, I literally thought of 5 different fucking offices as you were talking about what you thought was going to happen.
Well, you look at my Pinterest, it's a variety of
No,
stuff.
but her job's to hone in on the best parts of all the bullshit you put. That's her job. Her job's to pick out all the good parts that, like, it's you, but it's not the part of you that would scare someone away.
Right. So if that's what I envision, like more grays, a little bit of white oak, I didn't expect to have as much white as I do now in my office, to be honest. I didn't expect
walls or white
just
oak?
white walls.
Okay, yes.
White walls in general, the color white. And I didn't expect as much contrast of black and white as I do. I see the concrete that we have, and I saw the white oak slat I could see. But how did you come up with your rendering that you showed us? Because I really didn't change very much other than like the heights of like cabinets. And I was like, okay, we're going to let this ride.
Yeah.
Well, how did you come up with that based on what I thought I was going to get?
So I took the base and the architectural elements, really wanted that to be neutral to the point of the Apple Store, right? So you have the concrete looking floors, but yours is more of like a terrazzo gray floor that has dimension and texture to it. And then we did take the white oak concept from the Apple Store, but with the layer added of your personality, it felt like it was going to fall short, and it didn't feel like it was going to do you justice if we just left it feeling so techy and so ultra modern. It was going to feel too sterile. So wanted to warm it up a bit, and definitely, the concept of the white oak with the swinging chair and then the murals, really wanted those to pop. And there was an underlying tone of Scandinavian influence that went into your design too, and really honed in on
fancy.
Yeah, fancy. And honed in on the simplicity of it. Like, just strip everything back to like the basics, and let's just show and use the architecture, because the architecture was great. Like the ceiling, the fact that you come in kind of on an angle, like that whole space when you walk in needs to show architecturally speaking. It didn't need a lot of fluff
Mm-hmm.
to speak to who you are and what you're trying to create. And then the artwork that you have, really wanted the artwork pieces to pop because we didn't want it to feel overwhelming, right? But the Excelsior photo that you have in the hallway behind your reception desk, the sneaker photo that you have to the right of your swing, like
Uh-huh.
those little pieces, without having a neutral tone, that would have fallen short or it would have gotten lost. So it allowed us in the black and white contrast. I'm trying to remember why we brought the black in. I think it was
I feel it was
because
like
it
my
was depth. No,
okay.
it was because there was a lack of depth. I go through these renderings too, and like I do something that I think is going to look great at first. I'm like, oh, that looks like garbage. No, no, no. Like we've got to rethink this. We got to rethink this. So then I'm trying all different, and I remember you liked accents of black. It was like the inspo photos you had. I remember we liked accents of black. You talked about the black exposed ceiling,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to just see the exposed ceiling black. Like there needed to be other elements that tied it in. So bringing that element really made everything else pop because the eye loves to see contrast too. So
Mm-hmm.
having white on the walls and then black dividers in your open bay, the black chairs, really creates interest throughout the space without incurring a ton of cost as well. So that was at the top of mind as well. Like, how do we get Min something that looks fantastic, but also keeping your budget in mind? So we really focused on your waiting room, your hallway, and your open bay. Those were the areas that we really touched upon. And everywhere else is like sleek and clean, but we didn't really go there. Of course, like it was designed, but you know what I'm saying? It wasn't
Right.
to the
Correct.
nines. So when you work with contrast too, that can be a big budget saver. So the eye sees kind of luxury when you see contrasted items as well. And that was pretty simple to do from a paint perspective. And I already knew you had such incredible art. And a white backdrop to art is always speaks, I think, to the art that you're hanging. I mean, you just texted me the cool piece of artwork that you're going to be hanging in the office, the skateboard, right?
Joe, I
Are these
texted her
skateboards?
Yeah, I
the
love
skateboard
that.
text. I
Yeah,
texted her the
they're
John
so
Wick.
cool. They're so
Yeah.
cool. So I mean, like that, it was almost like I was creating the canvas for what you were gonna put on there, like a
Right.
neutral canvas, because I
Yeah.
already knew the character you were gonna bring to it, right?
Right.
Through
And our
your
plan,
personalized art.
right. And the open bay, when we usually put it together, we had one piece of artwork was the Marvel
Yes.
like commission piece,
Yes.
but the rest of the walls we left it white because in time it could
You
be
wanna add other
versatile
stuff,
enough
right?
to. It was slowly going to have stuff up there. We didn't know quite what it was going to be, but it would slowly develop its own character as the practice was growing. But no, that was cool. This is my first time actually hearing Insight. I'm like, how did she come up with all this?
Well,
But it was I had to get it out, you know.
I'm happy you did, and like to bring up the Scandinavian design again, another really cool element. So you did like, and you just spoke to it, modern, clean, sleek, rustic, man cave. Like there's a lot of different elements at play there, but Scandinavian has all of those elements in it. It's modern, it's sleek, but when you think of Scandinavian, you could throw like a fur in there, or you could, which we did, on your bench,
Mm-hmm.
or you could throw really like organic raw elements like concrete, which we did on your floor. So Scandinavian design is simplistic and beautiful, but somehow also kind of tied in all of your wants into it. So we could get a little quirky too with the artwork. It was just a beautiful base to highlight you. And that was the goal.
That's what I find so impressive. Even with like, once my office was done, I saw as our friends and our mutual clients and stuff
Yeah.
build their offices, and it really, you do such a good job taking their personality. And I haven't seen Jenny's office yet, but I gotta go there, and I see the pastel, but not too overly pastel.
Yes.
You kept it darker pastels with some wood tones.
Yeah,
And
white
but
oak again. It was white oak.
Yeah,
too.
a more white. Okay, so it was white oak
Yeah.
again.
Yep.
And I was like, oh wow, yeah, that's like a place like that's very different than, you know, another pediatric office.
Mm-hmm.
I got so used to my space with the contrast to where how I describe how a doctor would design their office, and I make this joke to you all the time, Alice said, I'm like, it's simple. They're gonna have one kind of floor through the whole space. They're gonna have drop ceiling because they don't know what a ceiling is. They're not gonna take the time to learn what the ceiling is. And I didn't appreciate it until you showed me the design for the reflective ceiling plan. I never appreciated ceiling until that.
Though, in your profession, you have one of the few professions where all of your patients are looking up. So
Correct.
why are we not thinking about the ceiling?
Interesting. That's right.
What other, unless you're like an esthetician, but your eyes are closed. I mean,
Right.
I can't think of any other.
That's right.
I mean,
That makes a
seriously,
good
it
point.
is.
Yeah,
You
that makes
are
a good
always
point.
looking at the
Looking up.
ceiling. I mean,
Better
maybe
take the
not
time
you,
to-
but your
Right.
patients are.
Correct. And like, so it was what I was what was I saying? Lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
What were
I
we at?
interrupted. I don't know. I just got really, really ramped up.
I was
when you talked
designing
about the ceiling.
how this is a normal dentist that doesn't hire an Allison. It's simple. The same floor, LVT or something, or some carpet, hopefully got throughout the whole space, is one wall paint color through the whole space and an accent board, maybe an accent midline thing, crown midline thing that's like white for some contrast, and they slap on a logo on a wall. And because it's like clean and new, and the photographer took a little bit of effort at the right angle and the lights are reflecting the right way, and you can, play around with it, post it up on Facebook, and they call it like a really, really nice office. I look at that and I'm like, this is boring because I know you need the contrast and repeating themes, and like it gets really, really boring in the space. And like that's how most dentist offices, even newer ones now that don't hire help. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, I would. And of course, you only know what you know, right? So
Correct.
there's totally understand why, because maybe they don't know that there's designers out there that could work in dental spaces. Maybe it's just not even a thought that comes through their mind. But yeah, I agree. If it's not designed by oh my gosh, can't speak. If it's not done by a designer, it does tend to fall a little flat. And maybe that's biased of me to say, but that's how I feel about it.
It's biased, but it makes sense.
yeah.
I mean, some people don't see value in it, and those people are fine. Like, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's their parable. It's like 85% of our audience is the people looking for that when they're building something new, and I think it's a huge value, and I'm really glad you came on to give insight, because I this is something that's completely new for me for the dental world, because like I know people use you, but we don't. It's not something we really focused on till recently. Till honestly, don't make believe me about it, and was like, this is important, and then I'm like, I just was like, I guess in my mind, I just assumed everybody was like, I hate to say it, like, it's like smart enough to just do that. And then I realized like a lot of people don't hire a designer, and like some of these offices look a little scary, and I'm like, why are they looking weird? And it's that like you really do need somebody who is passionate about getting it done. You know how you got all excited, you went through Min's Pinterest and ideas, and you still remember his whole plan from 3 years ago. Like
Yes.
that's like your
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
I think that's important when you're looking for a person to do something, especially something that's, this important, like your business.
Agree. And finding someone that's passionate too, because I mean, just like in any industry, there's great people and there's not so great people, but finding someone that cares enough about it more than just like, hey, it's going to look good for my portfolio, like genuinely just wanting every day that you go into your space, Min, and you're happy and you're excited, and like I don't know, like that to me is like the best. Like the fact that your patients can come in and they talk about your design, and then they meet you, and then I don't know. Actually, I would love to ask you this. Has anybody ever just blatantly said like, this would be your office? Like, have they ever been like, oh, like this looks like you? And if the answer is no, like that's totally fine.
I don't recall a specific person.
Okay.
But yeah, they come in and they're like, okay.
I don't
like,
think people say it, but you feel it when you're in there. Like,
correct.
I when I went in there, because I'm one of his patients, like I didn't say it to him, but like I was like, oh, this is like a mid office. Like once you're in there, like
Yeah.
it says like the Funko Pops and he's wearing the shoes. He's got the swing.
Did you go on the swing?
Of course I did. I'm a grown man.
So happy. I'm so happy you
He
did.
wanted me to join him on
That's
the
what they're
swing.
for.
That's a different
I wanted Min to
conversation.
swing with me, and he said that wasn't appropriate. I said, get over here. And he said,
Yeah.
stop. We ended up swinging together. It was fine. It was just after all of his employees.
It was Min's loss. He should have joined the swing.
So that was cool. I actually thought I was going to fall out of the ceiling when I sat in it, but I'm glad it holds.
But besides that, it was great.
Yeah, well, I was nervous. I was like, are you sure? Like,
It's
they want
strong.
to play with this thing, and I'm like, am I allowed? Like I'm a grown man. Like, if I sit on this, is it gonna break? And it didn't. So I love it.
Well, and do people come in and sit on, like, how often is that swing used? And do people sit on it to actually wait, or is it more of a, hey, I want to take a photo or just see what this is all about, and then they go sit in the regular chairs?
When people first come in, they don't go straight to it, but they really like it.
Okay.
And then when they realize on the tour, we tell them, this is actually something you should sit on. You can sit there, and they're very delicate with it, depending on the child. They sit on, they're like, oh, it's actually more comfortable than you think. And it is more comfortable than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people that are currently in treatment, they just come. The kids just go straight to the swing. They'll put their feet up on like the top of the circle thing.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought of that.
They'll like really lounge back like it's a hammock.
Talking about. Yeah,
and
like
they'll just chill out. Like yeah. They're just really, now they're just like, okay, this is like my home. And that was what I was going for. And I'm like, make this space not obviously medical dental office. Make it comfortable where you would like have a cup of coffee and hang out. And that's where I tend to even do our team meetings, like in that space. I don't even use like my office or the open bay. Like doors closed and we sit in like the lounge area because it's just comfortable to sit back. And or even like we'll have like lunch and learns and our lunches there and stuff. So yeah, like people come in, like I can't recall a specific person. And then the more I'm working in my space, I'm like, yeah, like Allison kind of just took my personality and put it here. It's just like, you know, like no nonsense, straight to the point, beautiful work. And with a touch of some personality with it, that was actually pretty neutral, like not too masculine and feminine. And at the time, we had no intentions of being a two-doctor office.
Yes.
Right. We had no intentions of having a two-doctor office. I'm
No,
glad we
Savannah
went
was
this
going to
way.
be a general dentist.
She was going to be a general dentist, and we were going to have you do her office.
That's right.
But then now it became a two-doctor office later.
But she wasn't on some of the meetings though. So if not, I think almost all of them. So it was good. But I remember us having this conversation of it not being swaying too feminine or masculine. I do.
And not too old or young.
Yeah. We wanted some kind of neutral right in the middle because of Percival and kind of who you were going to be seeing.
Correct.
And the people coming in. So.
Yeah. That was good.
I think this was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I don't know.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a good way to do it.
Did we do it? Is this?
Well, no, it's still recording now. One last little tidbit just to share with the audience. If you guys are, I'll give Allison her plug. If you guys are looking for her services, you can find her at rasmusinteriors.com, where my office, of course, is in like the top of her portfolio. And you can find her on Instagram at Rasmus Interiors as well.
Yes. Yep.
And we'll add it to our website and our other stuff for partners so you guys can find it too.
Awesome.
But book as you guys are contemplating whether you want to go high-end finishes or you're trying to just have just a nice clean office and you're contemplating whether or not you should have Allison as like a part of your team, and you're looking at your budget and you're looking at cost savings. I'll keep this in mind. Build your right floor plan, build it the right way. You only have one shot at it. But believe it or not, the most expensive thing in your construction and design overall, everything, is actually all the stuff in the walls that they're not negotiable. Electricity, plumbing, and HVAC and stuff costs more than any marble tiles you can ship from like Italy or wherever you want to go. Those things are not negotiable, guys. And like the plumbing is the plumbing. Whether you have a nice design or a bad design, the price is the price on that type of stuff. So when you want to put this stuff and have a more customized office, the additional cost is really a drop in the bucket in like the grand scheme of things, but you get the space that you want and everything. I mean, I think that's the one last thing I wanted to share with people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I do want to mention, stay tuned, because there's actually photos. I only have a couple portfolio images on my website right now. There's about 40 projects that my photographer's taking photos of as we speak. So finally we'll get some stuff up there so you guys can see some other things other than what's already been up there. So wanted to mention that.
Cool. Any last words for either one? Anything you want to share? One last thing, anything?
No, I just really appreciate you having me on, Min. It was awesome. And Joe, it was really nice getting to know you and meeting you
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, it was really nice meeting you.
There's your designer of the future headquarters for CFS Dental Division. That'll be a fun project when we get to it.
Yeah.
But no, thank you guys very much for all tuning in for like nearly an hour and a half episode. Definitely one of the like really, really fun ones. Stay tuned for more. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.